Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing? We are coming to you from Act Now Live today. I'm Dr. Natalie Phillips.
And I am Regeanie Corona. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. All right. So before we dive in, we are going to, we're actually streaming here today from our Facebook page, but we're also streaming from our YouTube channel. So I'm going to have Reg share about our YouTube channel real quick here. Let me put this graphic up. All right.
So we are on YouTube, and we don't want you to miss out on any of the things that we drop on YouTube. So you want to go out and find us at Act Now Guide, subscribe, and then make sure that you hit the notification bell, because that's the way that you'll get reminded as we are putting new things out. You'll get a notification. And we keep saying we are going to be putting more out on YouTube this year. YouTube is one of our business strategies for this year, and growing a YouTube audience. So we don't want you to miss out on that at all. Join us over there.
Yay. All right. Yay. So you guys are just kind of rolling in here. We're going to just take that down. And also, so just to kind of start off, we are actually we're still going to be going through our book, but we have decided that we are going to go live in our group every week, Act Now. So I'm going to put up I'll put it in the comments of where our private Facebook group is, because we're going to go live there instead of coming to you live here on our Facebook page every week. So this is actually the last Sunday that we will be here doing it live. For now, we'll see what happens down the line, but for now, and we're going to be going live in our private Facebook group instead. And so we're going to put a lot of content in there and pour into our private Facebook group as well. We're still going to be going through our book. So as we went through the month of January, we went through mindset. The month of February, we are going through fear. And next month, March, so you don't want to miss it. So you want to come to our group. Next month in March, we are going to be going over self-worth and value. I'm going to try to put this up, and I'm going to say hello to our friend Mary. It's so good to see you. So we're super excited, but we are going to head over to our group starting in March.
Yeah, and we want to continue to add value and add more value. And there are a lot of things that we're planning and we're working on. It took us some time after writing the book to really nail down what is the audience that we're serving and how can we best serve that audience. And so we know that we are here to help creatives, build their businesses, get the confidence to do that, and take action on all of the steps required to do that. And so going live in the group and just posting more valuable content there is really going to help us help you get to where you're looking to go. And then we're looking to still be out there. We're still going to have content out there, just not the live show every week. We're going to put some time into developing content for YouTube and having our YouTube channel grow. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too. And so this website that I will also put in the comments. So in the comments, it's a clickable link to our private Facebook group if you want to join that, and we'll be a lot more engaging in that area. But if you want to stay connected to us as well, go to actnowguide.com and stay connected to us there. You can sign up for our emails and newsletters. There's some free downloadable things for you as well. And so we want to keep you connected at our website, which is right there.
Yeah.
All right. So we are going to be talking again. This is going to be kind of the last week, just summing up what we've talked about with fear. We've talked about fear, and how the brain reacts to fear. We've talked about how important I think that it is to still be able to acknowledge fear. Yeah. And to move through it, right? We've talked about not being able to skirt around, not being able to avoid it, but to actually move through it. And so today we were going to talk about, things that we just literally pulled from what we talked about in our book about just 5 steps to help conquer fear. And so we wanted to go through that. Again, if you are just joining in and you're watching, engage with us. Let us know. Maybe you have some great ways that you have conquered fear yourself. And so we want to make sure that we are able to hear from you. This is a live show, so that's why it's kind of fun to have people jump on and share at the same time, and be part of it. So, walking through just conquering fear, it's something that, again, fear is a basic human instinct. It's a normal human emotion, and I think that we need it, right? Because without fear, you would end up just being foolish and just taking risks that probably without thinking, right? Like, oh, I might, that might hurt myself, or that might take me to a level where I don't really need to be there right now, right? Maybe it's pushing you to take on too many things, right? So there's a reason why we have to stop and pause and really examine the fear. And so one of the first things is step one is to define the problem, define the fear, right? Reg, I'm going to let you kind of talk a little bit about this and what this means to you with just defining the problem that you're facing with fear.
Well, it's interesting because we always talk about fear is a very real emotion. It's something and it's there to help protect us. But what has happened is we allow these expectations or anticipation of negative things to cause fear. So in our minds, we start thinking, oh, I want to go start a business. Wait a minute, but okay, that's going to be difficult and I don't know how to do it. And all of these things start going through our minds, right? And that leads to this feeling of fear, which is not a real, it's not real. It's taking the feelings of fear and creating this anticipation of something negative happening. So our bodies react as though there's something bad that's going to happen, something life-threatening that's going to happen, when in actuality it isn't. So it's important to sit down and look at what is it that's causing me to feel this way. I know that starting a business is not going to kill me. I don't think it will. But under normal circumstances, starting a business is not going to harm me. So why am I feeling fearful about that? Well, maybe I'm feeling fearful because I've never walked down that path before. And I don't know what that journey is going to look like. And am I going to succeed or am I going to fail? Am I going to take risks that I'm not prepared for? So it's going through and logically looking at what is really truly causing you to feel this way. And then looking at how do you put actions in place to help you move past those fears. So if the fear is, I don't really know what to do, then put an action in place with a goal to say, over the next 30 days, I'm going to go out and learn everything that I can about how to start a business. What's involved with starting a business? And then you have some actionable steps there that you can start to take and move forward and actually have progress rather than sitting in that space of fear. So that's kind of how I look at defining the problem and then taking action and moving through it. And I know that's what we really, really talked about in the book. And it's what we talk about all the time to move forward.
Yeah. And what I heard you say too is the whole fact that fear can make you kind of, sit and pause. And then some people never get up after that, right?
Yes.
Right. And so I think that just kind of making sure that you understand where the fear might be coming from. And, I've heard that even if you ask yourself, is that really true? Right? Like the things that I'm thinking, is that really true? Right. And I think that, what I've heard too is that, of course, you as the planner and the strategist, it helps to define the problem because it allows you to create that plan to take action as well. So helping define the problem, really gets you up out of that chair. I almost feel like it's a beanbag chair, where you're sitting down and you're like, like it's comfortable. It's comfortable, yes. And you're just like, sink into it. But
Mhm.
the fact is, like, you could never get out of it, though. That's the scary thing, right? Without making a plan of action to get out of it. Which brings us to our second step, which is to acknowledge the fear. And again, this comes to being real with yourself and making sure that you're able to look at it and say, yeah, okay, it is there. Like, I'm not going to try to pretend, or I'm not going to try to ignore it, but
Right.
really try to acknowledge it, because I feel like when you start to acknowledge it, whether it means writing things down, and really looking at it, to be able to ask yourself, is this true? Right? That
Mhm.
it allows you to, again, face what is real and what is,
Mhm.
might be the real threats. And then really test out if it's something that, if it is real, okay, well, why do I feel like this? Well, let me test this out. Like, really, is it real? And part of that
Right.
test too is really making that plan of action. Yeah, as well.
Yeah,
Acknowledge.
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Acknowledging it is so important. I hear often where people will say, well, just ignore it, or no, don't ignore it. It's the same thing with anything that you're dealing with. Don't ignore it, confront it. Face
Hmm.
it. We're usually afraid to confront it. But when we confront it, we acknowledge it, and then we understand how we're going to deal with it, then we're able to move past it.
Yeah, absolutely. And writing it down helps. Step 3 is make a plan. And we've talked about this too, just
Yeah.
looking at even goals and how you're making plans. Look ahead and say, where do you want to be, right? And get
Mhm.
and imagine or visualize, where you want to be maybe in 6 months as you're moving past or through this fear. But then even more than that, as you're making that plan, if you have to break it up into smaller pieces to reach those goals, there's still wins and they'll still get you there. And it might
Mhm.
seem a little bit more doable if you're able to make that plan, but maybe it's something that you can break up even, so that it doesn't feel so overwhelming. Because again, we don't want you to fall in that beanbag. We want you to get up, and we want you to have this plan of action. Yeah.
And remember last week we talked about how planning is actually a way that can help you control things a little bit. You can
Mhm.
create some boundaries for yourself. So if you have a plan, then you can, in a way, it helps you to feel like you have control over things. It
Mhm.
helps you to feel like, okay, I know what the next steps are. Now, the next steps may not go according to plan, and you
Mhm.
have to be flexible in that. But having the plan just makes a lot of us feel that much better, because at least we know what the next steps are. We know what to anticipate. And suddenly something has happened in our brains, right?
Yep.
We've switched from anticipating the negative to anticipating what's going to happen with the plan. And that is a little bit better.
Yeah, and I think it does take your mind off of it, because you're really focused on that plan because you want to hit those goals, right?
Yes.
What do you think about saying it out loud too? I love this because for me, it's accountability, right? Saying it out loud, maybe
Mhm.
sharing it with somebody, it really adds that accountability. That yes, okay, I'm acknowledging this. Right. And I need help making a plan, because sometimes I can get stuck in my own head or stuck in my own beliefs that I'm not going
Mhm.
to get there. So saying it out loud, not just out loud, necessarily to yourself in the mirror, but for me, what this means is to share it with somebody trusted or an accountability partner that will help you move through this fear. What about you?
Mhm. Totally agree. We've seen that over and over again, not just with ourselves, but with those that we work with, both through Act Now as well as in other areas of our of what we do in our other businesses. And saying it out loud, it goes along with acknowledging it. So you're not just saying it in your head. You're admitting, yeah, you know what, I'm a little bit afraid of this. And I recognize that the fear is holding me back. And so I'm now putting a plan in place, and I'm letting you know, Natalie, or for
Mhm.
others, I'm letting someone know so that they can help keep me accountable, but
Mhm.
also so that they can help be my support system and remind me that I've got this. I can do this.
Mhm.
And remind me, even when I forget to remind myself, of the things I've accomplished already. the things that I've done successfully already, because we tend to downplay
Mm,
our successes. We downplay the things that we have accomplished. And this is one of the things that I do with my classes and coaching. The very first thing that we do in self awareness is look at what you've done over the last 12 months and identify at least one thing that you are so super proud of that
mm,
you accomplished, because we need to be reminded. And I tell them, look, put that on your phone, post it up somewhere where you'll see it every day, because you want to remind yourself when you get in those moments of doubt and fear, you
mhm.
want to remind yourself, no, I can do this. I did X, Y, and Z 5 months ago, and I didn't think I could do that. And look at where I'm at now. We
Yeah.
have to be reminded of those successes. So to me, saying it out loud is
Mhm.
actually all of that wrapped up
Yep.
together.
Yeah. Yeah, which leads us kind of into the last step, right? Which is accepting the fear and move through it or to take action. But I think
Mhm.
that when you are able to, especially, I love what you said about downplaying the successes, because to me, everything that you've done, whether it was something that maybe you failed at or maybe you succeeded at, I think everything in our life is a lesson.
It
And,
is.
as we're learning these lessons, it should help us overcome fear faster. That's what I
Mhm.
believe, right? Whether it was something good or something bad that happened to us, I feel like it teaches us more about ourselves and how we react and how stronger our focus should be on the things that we probably want to accomplish. And so, really celebrating those successes, whatever they are, really helps you to move through whatever you're feeling, because you can kind of visualize down the line of what that goal is, right? And in order to
Mhm.
move, you have to take action, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You do. And
Mhm.
you do have to move through it. It's not going, most times, whatever that is that's holding you back, it's not just going to magically go away. You
Mhm.
know, people look at people who have had successes and they want those same successes or similar successes. And they're only looking at the outcome, they're only looking at the result. But they don't see all that the person went through to get there.
Mhm.
And most of the time, that person that you're wanting to model, that person that you're admiring, they had to go through the same thing that you're going through.
Mhm.
They had to bust through the fear, and they may still have to bust through the fear as they rise to higher levels, as they go and do things. I have people tell me all the time, I still get nervous. We talked about this as well. I still get nervous when I go out and speak or when I go out
Mhm.
and do something. So they're still dealing with a lot of those things, and you're looking at them as the success, and maybe they are in your eyes. They're 20 steps ahead of you,
Mhm.
but they still had to bust through the fear. They
Yeah.
had to move through it and get on the other side of it, which, by the way, helped to improve their confidence. Because
Mhm.
every single time you move through the fear and you get on the other side of it, you're stronger for it, you're better
Mhm.
for it, and you're more confident. And you stand there, like the superhero with the cape flying behind you, and you're like, I did that and I can do this again, until you get to the next thing that
Mhm.
causes you fear.
Yep.
And then it's like you're at the edge of the cliff, you've stopped, and here's the thing. Are you going to allow it to keep you stuck at the edge of the cliff? Or are you going to say, no, I have my superhero cape. I've done this before. I know I can do it. It
Mhm.
may not be exactly the same thing,
Mhm.
but I've proven that I can do it. So I'm going to go for it and I'm going to do it. So it gives
Yeah.
you confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a comment here. This is the mom of a really dear friend of mine. And she says, what about if you share a general fear of something that might happen to many of us and follow within these steps? And so I think the question really is, if there's a general fear that, and I'm not too sure, and if you want to elaborate on this as well, but if it's a general fear of maybe something that might come to an end, or are you talking about something that many of us will end up facing, if that's what it is. And I think the question is, can you follow these same steps, correct? If it's a general fear. What are
Yeah,
your thoughts about this?
that's a great, great question. I don't, and I would love if she clarifies more, but one of the things I think about is our health and
Mm-hmm.
health related challenges. Those are sort of general fears. And as we get older, and I'm experiencing this, and I'm seeing little things happen that I didn't experience when I was younger, and my mind will start to go into, well, how am I going to deal with like the pandemic? Am I going to be one of those people that reacts badly, or if I'm eating things that I know are give a higher risk of heart disease, or something along those lines. What am I doing to combat that? I'm thinking about, honestly, I'm thinking about those things a lot
Mm-hmm.
more than I did when I was younger. And I see that as kind of general fears.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I do apply these same things that we're talking about. So I disarm the fear by looking at, okay, what's a plan? How can I take action and take things into my own hands? I may not be able to prevent some things from happening, but at least if I know I'm working towards eating right, exercising regularly,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm maybe reducing the risks that are associated with some of those things that I think about
Mm-hmm.
and have fears of. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but it means I reduce my risk. And it means that because I'm focused on the actions to reduce my risk, I'm not so focused on the general fear itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, so I don't know if that helps, but
Yeah, and that's the
absolutely.
first thing that I thought about too. Was health issues, right? So it's a general
Mhm,
fear that we all might have. And again, walking through these 5 steps that I'm putting back up here too, I really think that you can walk through these steps even with a general fear. And as you were talking, Reg, and I was putting up the steps again, what it made me think about was as you walk through these steps, and you actually do the work, like it really allows you to shift that mindset
mhm,
where, especially with a general fear, and if it is a health related thing, where it's inevitable, right? Like everybody, I mean, I don't want to say it, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like some things
mhm,
might happen to, like what you were saying, Zakia, about just, it's inevitable, right? But as Reg was talking, I also saw through these steps, right, that it allows you to shift that mindset. So let's say it is a
mhm,
health issue, right? Well, define the problem, and as Reg was talking, and acknowledge that yes, I am scared. Like, and if I don't fix the way that I'm eating or exercising or whatever it is, like that might come sooner than later. And then you make a
mhm,
plan. Okay, well, then I'm going to sit down and maybe we're going to start to look at the foods and plan ahead and maybe meal plan or something like
mhm,
that, right? And then you get to the point where you're saying it out loud. Maybe Reg will say, like, all right, to her spouse, right? Or to me or whoever, to keep her accountable. Okay, I'm serious. Like, I'm afraid, like this happened to, so, with my dad, he passed away early from, heart disease. And so it's one of those things where if I don't say it out loud and say, okay, and I talk to my spouse and I'm like, all right, I'm kind of nervous about this because I just came back from his funeral and like, let me go get checked out. Let me make a plan, saying it out loud. Okay, we have to be doing this because I don't want to go
mhm,
down that road, and again, just going off of the health issue, if that's what it
mhm,
is, and to keep that accountability. And then it allows me to then get to this last step, right? Step 5 of saying, okay, yes, I walked through all those different things and now I feel better because now I'm able to accept it and I'm able to move through it. And I know that whatever I'm going to put in place in this plan is everything that I can possibly do. Yes, my body is going to do what it's going to do, but I have everything in place and I'm going to try my hardest to get through this. And through time, it allows me to relax and not be so fearful, right? And so hopefully
yeah,
that answers the question. But I honestly feel that as you're walking through these steps, it allows you, especially with making that plan. I think the action steps, right? Making that plan,
Mhm.
saying it out loud and having that accountability really gets you to the point where you're able to then, like, I just have this vision of bulldozing down this wall that is fear that
Mhm.
is stopping you, right? So we have a
I
really good friend, Tina. Tina, good to see
Hi,
you.
Tina. I was also going to say, defining the problem, I think, is so important as
Mhm,
well. Even when you're talking about a general fear, sitting down and breaking down why you're feeling fear, right?
mhm,
What is it that's causing the fear? And even if she loved the example, even if we're talking about something as simple as, are you afraid of insects or
mm.
snakes?
Ooh,
Things like that.
spiders.
Yes, that's a general fear, right? So, Natalie, from your
Let me
reaction,
think through this one then. For spiders and
it's
insects, you just brought up one for me. I'm like, oh man, okay, let me think through it. Yeah.
and I see your face, you're grimacing. And when there was a point in time where I was afraid of them as well. I'm not as afraid of them anymore. I just sometimes don't like them. And so it's important to understand, okay, what's behind that? Why
Mm,
am I afraid of something that's smaller than I am, that I have the ability to actually have authority over? I could actually kill it if I really needed to in most cases. So what is my fear? And when you break it down to what's causing the fear and defining the problem, that's actually a really big help in dealing with
mhm.
fears.
That's
Because
hilarious that you
then,
brought that up. Yeah. That's
well,
so
and I
true
brought up
though. That is
snakes
so true.
because that's one for me. Like, I think they're the ickiest things. And it's like, I don't. But then when I think about it, it's like, well, what is my fear? Okay, maybe my fear is related to a snake could take me out, depending on the type of snake that it is, right? So then it's just being mindful of, oh, well, okay, not all snakes, some snakes are harmful, but not all snakes. Your
Mhm,
general garden variety of snake is not harmful.
mhm.
So, you know, understanding that is
Yeah,
important.
absolutely. Okay, so I just have to share and be transparent because it's hilarious. But I did walk through, I have the banners up and I did walk through how I deal with spiders since that's a general fear, defining the problem that
Oh,
I do not like spiders because I feel like they're going to jump or do something or crawl on you or whatever, right? And acknowledging the fear. Okay, here's my plan. I'm walking through the steps. So my plan is my plan is get it out of my house. If you're in my house and you're not supposed to be in my house, like you're out. And so then I say it out loud because I tell my kids to bring me the vacuum cleaner. You guys are going to die. But yeah, so I say it out loud. I get the vacuum cleaner and I accept the fear and move through it. And I suck that sucker up into the vacuum cleaner. And then I hold it up and I let it whir until it actually, hopefully, like is like just obliterated. I don't know. It's in my head. So I suppose I do walk through those steps.
you
So thank
do.
you for bringing that to light because I feel like I still walk through those steps. I accept the fear and move through it because I'm going to have to get it anyway, right? And I
And
take action.
we joke about it, but that's how you deal with it. And at the end of the day, fear and moving past fear and not allowing it to keep you stuck is
Yes.
all about um, dealing with the fear
Yeah.
and having a way to deal with it. And however you deal with it, what's most important is that you deal with it so that you can move past it. So,
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So there's the spider. Yeah, just think of spiders. So hopefully that will help out.
what a great
So
way
we
to end
have
the show
Tina that
today.
says, yep, vacuum cleaner mama here too. Thank you, Tina. Thank you. So accountability here, she also does the same thing. So that's hilarious. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So, again, guys, it's been so, so fun to be here on Sundays. We might bring this back at some point, but again, we're going to start moving, a lot of what we do live. And Reg and I will jump on, at separate times as well. To be a little more intimate. That's what we want to do. And so that's why we're moving it into our private private group where we can just kind of pop on and really love on you guys and feed into you, and then also learn from you guys as well. So in our comments, we have the Facebook group, the link to the private Facebook group so that you can join. And we'll be popping up in there to do some lives and to keep connected to all of you and to do some content there, as well as you can go to our website right here and keep in contact with us. With just updates. We send out updates every so often, as well as there are some free downloads for you to stay in contact. But we will be still heading through the rest of our book for the rest of the year, and starting in March, we're going to be popping up in our private Facebook group talking about self-worth and values. So we love that you guys are here today. Any last parting words today, Reg?
No, I'm excited about where we're going with the business and helping others, and I can't wait to start putting content out on YouTube. I think that'll be great. We can reach larger audiences. I'm also super excited about some of the things that we have planned, and I know we've talked about a sequel to the book where the focus is not so much on us, but it's on some of those that have walked through the steps, that the Act Now system, and have had some wins. And I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, me too. I cannot wait. And we've already got some great stories. And so it's going to be really cool to see the rest of it play out. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will see you in the private Facebook group. And thank you guys so much for being here. And we'll see you there.
Bye.
Bye.